All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Yeah.
Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to ASAP in the Morning with the best crew, the best podcast, the amazing stream, and it's Freaky Friday. With me is my boy, my brother from another mother, my co-host, my ride or die. I have to contact him or I'm going to have a day where I'm stressing. Jay McLovin, what's going on, Jay?
I'm good, man. I'm good. As you know, man, we came off a really good night of sports. Astros won. Did the Yankees win? I didn't see that one.
No, unfortunately not. We gave Chapman a night off, and I forgot who was pitching. I wasn't really paying attention because I was at work. But when I did, we were tied up in the bottom of the ninth, and they had two runners on base, and Santander, or however you say his name, come up to the plate, and he hit a 3-run homer. So we ended up losing 9-6.
That's all right. You guys still gotta believe the best record in baseball. Astros are back in first, a game and a half now. So we're doing good. We got a pretty, what I would say, kind of a soft stretch right now. We do play Anaheim. I think at some points, I think that'll give us a little bit of an edge, but. Yeah, man, I'm doing good, man. No issues, no complaints, no harm, and no foul.
I love it. And with us is our boy, not showing his face because he's too pretty, and just like me, our guy, Stats Guy. What's going on, Stat?
Well, you guys want to sit here and talk about your Major League Baseball teams. My Major League team sucks. So I've been watching minor league baseball for the last week and a half where the Chicago Cubs minor league system has the highest winning percentage of any system, as all 4 teams are at least 4 games above 500.
Awesome.
Nice.
Hopefully we get some better baseball for your team. Let's start it off, boys. We're going to start it off with the NBA playoffs. And as you guys know, last night, Boston came out and showed up in Miami as I expected. I said yesterday on the show that I expected the Celtics to come back and win it and tie it up. They won with a final score. Let me see. I'm sorry. I didn't got it pull up.
I think it's 127-102, wasn't it?
Yep, 127-102. So I wouldn't say dominating, but a good performance on the Celtics. All the way around, they got back Marcus Smart and Al Horford. So, like I said, they had an easy game 1 because of those two, especially missing their defensive player of the year. But, Jay, I want to get your thoughts on this. I know you watched that game. I saw your messages with pride and stuff. Tell me, how do you think about the Celtics pulling that victory out and tying the series?
Yeah, man. And, I kept trying to tell, Sandro Arroyo Sanchez, who, as you know, is one of the commenters that usually comes on our shows, and he's a big-time Miami Heat fan, and I think he's living in a state of delusion about Miami. Miami's a good team. You got to give them credit, man. They really kind of have a lot of undrafted guys, and they've done a lot and they've gotten a lot out of a very little. Honestly, but I think you kind of see now that they had Smart back, now they have Horford back, and kind of Smart really kind of put his little 2 cents in there, and the cream did rise to the top, and they're not going to stop this Boston Celtics team. It's just not going to happen, man. I think Boston just has too many weapons for Miami to overcome, man, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. Stat, how'd you feel about that game and Boston tying it up at 1 game apiece?
It doesn't surprise me at all because I was not on Unscripted, but I was watching Unscripted for a while yesterday, and I figured that these 2 teams were going to split the first 4 games, similar to what the Milwaukee series was for Boston, where they kind of used those first 4 games to make the adjustments they want to make. But once you get to game 5, I figured Boston was just kind of going to sink their teeth in and just finish Miami off. I still think Boston wins in 6, but I expect them to split the first 4 games.
And
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
the biggest thing, though, honestly, was in game one. Honestly, for whatever reason, Tatum and Brown just really didn't show up that game. You know, I don't know. I just took the night off, or they were tired, or what. But then you look at game two, and it's a completely different story. Both Brown, Tatum, Smart gave you 24, and Horford gave you 10, but he gave you, he had. I mean, it was
He
just
was
an all-around
perfect.
complete game. And you had Williams come off the bench and showed up and really in a nice way. And here's the deal, too. People don't understand is that now Tucker is in the locker room, and we don't know what his availability is going to look like.
Yeah, that is true, Jay. That is true, and it's sad because PJ Tucker is the defense of the Heat. Let's be real. PJ Tucker is a defensive player. He did that with the Houston Rockets. He showed it with the Milwaukee Bucks, and that was the main reason that the Milwaukee Bucks won the championship last year was because of PJ Tucker's defense and how amazing.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna forget of the amazing defense he put on Kevin Durant last year. And then going from Milwaukee to Miami, now in the Eastern Conference Finals with Miami and Milwaukee eliminated, it shows a lot on the defensive side of the ball. But yeah, everybody showed up yesterday. Al Horford was perfect on a 3-point. He was perfect from the field. So everybody did good with the Celtics shooting at a 51.2% on the field, Jay, with a 50% solid 50% from the three. Stat,
Right.
I want to get your thoughts on this stat. So having all those players back for the Celtics, do you think Miami has a shot at winning? I mean, you already said the Celtics are going to win in 6, but do you have any thoughts in mind that Miami can somehow, some way win this series, even with the full healthy Boston Celtics team?
Yeah, I do, and I have it for 2 reasons. Reason number 1 is Miami is still a terrific 3-point shooting team. I think they were in the top 3 of their top 4 in the NBA in overall 3-point shooting percentage. So when they get hot from the perimeter with guys like Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero and Max Strauss, they're a tough team to beat, and they will live and die by the 3, but if they get hot from beyond the arc, they can make life miserable for anybody. And the other advantage that I will give them is Eric Spoelstra. Just because Eric Spoelstra has been in this position a lot more than Ime Udoka has. This is Ime Udoka's first year as a head coach. This is Spoelstra's 14th year as a head coach. I think this is his 7th or 8th conference final as a head coach. So it's not like he hasn't been in this position before where if it came down to a coaching decision or a coaching moment that could alter the series one way or another, I would give Miami the advantage on that because of Spoelstra. But I just think Boston has too much. I would say Miami's a deeper team because I think they have more players that they count on a given night because they usually go 10 or 11 guys deep. But I think Boston has more firepower overall just because they might only go 8 guys deep, but all 8 of those guys are going to give you around 10 points.
I agree. And it's funny that you say that, Miami is still a good 3-point shooting team because they are. They really are. I mean, I hate Miami. Let's be real. I've been talking trash about Miami since day one, saying they had an easy ride into the playoffs, facing a trash Atlanta Hawk team who wasn't fully, mentally there like they were last year. Then getting an easy ride against the Philadelphia 76ers with injured Joel Embiid, and a James Harden where we're not even going to mention because we know how James Harden is in the playoff. And then getting a game 1 without the defensive player of the year and Marcus Smart, without the big man and Al Horford. I mean, they shot a 29.4, Jay, 29.4 from the 3. How do you feel about that for the Miami Heat after Dustin just said that they're the best 3-point shooting team?
Well, yeah, man. Like I said, when and they can be the best 3-point shooting team, and like Dustin said, if they get hot, they get hot, and if they don't, they don't. But when you got a guy like Marcus Smart, who's a really good defensive guy, who comes back to the game, and then you get your Horford back. I mean, don't discount the Celtics either because they can shoot the 3 ball just as well as anybody. Matter of fact, I think they shot the 3 ball a little over 50%. So, and that's really where Miami got in trouble was at the 3 ball line. They went like what 10 of 34. I believe it was 10 of 34. And I know Stat Guy will correct me on that. And let me double check real quick. But I know it was 10 of 34 on that. And Miami was at 20 of 40. So, but they lost a lot of categories. They got, Miami got out rebounded. They got outscored. They got out percentaged. They got out steals, fouls. I mean, every category damn near, Miami has beaten them. Now I think Miami did get points in the paint at 42-30. So they did do well in the paint, but it really was a 3-point line that killed them. And I got to be honest with you. I don't like to live and die by the three. I don't like that type of mentality.
You might not like it. You might not love it, but blame Stephen Curry for that. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, just because Curry's the best shooter that any of us have ever seen in our lifetime, and probably the best shooter that any of us are ever going to see again. But Curry's changed the way that basketball is played.
No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is if you live and die by the three, I don't think you're going to go far. And because even Golden State will score in the paint. Even Golden State will play good defense. They're not solely reliant on the three ball. Three ball is a big part of their game, but they have other parts of that game that really come through. And I just don't think Miami has that.
Well, let's be real. Miami's trash. I don't care what anybody say. I did say to Sanders yesterday, and I just want to clear it up. I did tell Sanders, Jay, that if Miami were to win it all, I will go out and I will personally apologize to Sanders. I will personally apologize to the Miami Heat for calling them hot garbage Heat. and I said I will go a full NBA year without talking trash about the Miami Heat, a full year. So
yeah. But one thing I want to point about Golden State is if you watch that last game against Dallas, they had 7 block shots. And those blocks came at critical times. Not only did they have that, but they had a lot of turnovers. And they converted on a lot of turnovers. And that really was, if you put that with the three ball, because really Clay was having a hard time in that first half. And he went, 0-7 at the 3-point line? And then, of course, at the second half, then he hit some key 3-pointers, and Steph obviously was a big factor at the 3-point line. But, man, those blocks, those turnovers, those steals, that was huge in that game.
Yeah, that Warriors game is going to be tough. We're going to get more into that because that's tonight's game, which I'm excited for because we got the Boston Celtics and Miami Heat. That's okay. That's cool. We all expect Boston Celtics the way they've been playing in the playoffs, sweeping the Nets, beating the defending champions, which, by the way, when the defending champions lose and they don't end up going back to defend their titles, I change their names to the defending champions.
And Frankie, if I may, and I think Dustin will agree with me on this, is that I feel like Miami and Dallas are kind of in the same boat, right? You got two teams, that are going up against a little bit more experienced, a little bit more talented type teams in the Celtics from Miami and Golden State for Dallas. So for those two, for Dallas and Miami to have a shot at taking out either one of these two juggernauts, it's going to take an all hands on deck effort. Everybody really has to show up and do their jobs and not be missing.
Yeah, I agree because for this game yesterday for the Heat, Jimmy Butler alone scored 29 points. 29. The only person that scored close to him was Vincent, the point guard, who got 14. Everybody else got under 10. PJ Tucker got 5. Bam got 6. Stratus got 6. So you're right. Everybody needs to step up big. You got your 6th man of the year in Tyler Hero only getting you 11 points, shooting 0 for 3 from the 3-point and getting 5 from 11 from the field. That's not what a 6th man's supposed to do.
That's true. And I got to be honest with you, too. The fact that, Tucker went out with that thigh. I think he had a thigh bruise, and that's why he didn't return to the game. He went out with that thigh bruise, and then you got Kyle Lowry over there dealing with hamstring issues. The fact that you got 2 players out with injuries, that doesn't help your team, especially going up against the Celtics. And that's why I don't really put a lot of stock in Miami. I think they have too much going against them to really make a strong push at winning this series. I just don't. I think it's going to be a very hard mountain for them to climb.
Yeah, I agree. Real quick, Marcus Smart, he shot 8 for 22 from the field. 8 for 22,
Yeah.
5 for 12 from the 3 for 3 for the free throw. Still ended up with 24 points. What I want to see from Marcus Smart is less shots. I don't want to see you take 22 and
Just do your defensive role.
yeah, do your defense role. Get a couple shots here and there. Don't take 22 shots because honestly, you're lucky everybody else on the Celtics stepped up. Everybody stepped up. So if Marcus Smart was taking those many shots and the rest of the Celtics did not show up, we could have had a different ball game on our hands. 127 to 102. It looks like that's a lot of points to catch up and try and win. But the Miami Heat was like right there the entire game. The only what I'm looking at right now, it was basically the first half. The first half is what ruined the Miami Heat, losing the first quarter 35-24, followed up by the second quarter losing 35-21. With the
I got because what I'm looking for, he had 12 assists.
Right.
And he had 9 rebounds. So for what I would like to see out of Marcus Smart, not that he doesn't need to shoot the ball, but what I would like to see out of Marcus Smart is play your defense, get your assists, get your rebounds, and I want to see more of Grant Williams, who you know is a 3-ball stroker, and I'd like to see more of Al Horford because Al Horford went 4 of 4 and 2 of 2 at the damn 3-point line. And when you got a guy who's shooting 100%, give him the ball more.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Grant Williams because he also went 2 for 2 from the 3, and he went 5 for 7.
Right. If you got a guy stroking the ball, don't turn away from that.
So Jay, you're looking at this, right? You see, I forgot they have 2 Williams on their team. Which one is the starting one with the R? Is it Roy?
It's Robert Williams is their starter. Grant Williams is your off the bench. Now they do kind of flip that script a little bit. Sometimes between Grant and Robert, but mostly Robert is your starter, and Grant comes off of your bench.
Right. So you got Robert Williams, who gave you 5 points yesterday, 2 for 3 from the field, 20 minutes, compared to Grant Williams, who played 32 minutes. Your bench player played 32 minutes, 5 for 7, 2 for 2, 7 from 8. He's getting you 4 rebounds totals, no assists, but he scored you 19. Now, will the Celtics look at this and say, maybe we should start Grant Williams and bench Robert Williams for now? Maybe he can run our bench rotation and put in Grant Williams. So do you see something like that, Stat Guy? Do you see something like that happening?
I do and I don't. I think when it comes to Boston, it's all about the matchups and it's all about the hot hand. And like I said earlier, Miami, I think, has more overall team depth than Boston does, which is why they go typically 10, 11 guys deep every single night. Boston uses primarily 8 guys, but all 8 guys can produce, and we saw it in the Milwaukee series where every one of those 8 guys can get hot.
Right.
And if one of these players is doing better than the other, you might see them get moved to the starting lineup for a couple of games just to ride the hot hand.
That's true. And I think you do typically see those standard, like you're saying, Stat Guy, those 8 guys, unless you're up by 30 and then you get like 10 and 12 guys coming in.
Because Daniel Tice, who used to be pretty much the 6th or the 7th man with Boston his first time through before he got traded to the Bulls and then he signed with Houston before going back.
Right.
Daniel Tice is like the 9th or the 10th guy off the bench right now.
Which is weird because, it seems like he used to play a lot more minutes with Boston on that first go-around, and then he kind of sit down the depth a little bit to Robert Williams.
He was a starter and the 6th man the first go-around with Boston, which is why he got that.
What the hell happened to him?
Well, back in the day, Jay, it was just Daniel and Al Horford back in that time.
I get it, but is Robert Williams really better than Tice? I don't know. I'm asking. I know he scores about 10 points, 9 rebounds. What Williams gives you, but
Williams is way better defensively than Tice, which is why he starts. And I think
that's his primary asset, basically his defense.
And I think from an offensive side of things, I think they're both relatively similar. Tice is obviously a better shooter because he can shoot threes, and Williams is better inside, but like I said, Tice right now is like the 9th or the 10th guy off the bench, and he's not seeing very many minutes. But he would be the number 7 or the number 8 guy off of a lot of other teams and would be giving you 15 or 20 minutes. That just shows you the type of roster Boston's going with right now.
Exactly. So from what you're saying, what I get is what you're saying is that, guys, they're basically using Smart and Robert Williams as your defensive presence, and the other three guys are kind of like your primary scorers.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, listen, it's working for him. It's working for him. So, and Udon seems to be doing a hell of a good job coaching. I got to be honest with you. I'm really impressed with this guy's coaching. So,
I'm not.
You're really? Tell me why. Why do you think he's?
I shouldn't say that I'm not impressed. I'm not surprised, I should say. He's from the Greg Popovich tree. So obviously
that's true. That's true. I forgot about.
He learned under Greg Popovich. He has previous NBA experience playing in the league. He was coaching on the FIBA team with Mike Krzyzewski and Jim Boeheim and Greg Popovich.
He's got some pedigrees there.
And then he went to Philadelphia with Brett Brown, and Brett Brown was Greg Popovich's top assistant for I think 7 or 8 years in San Antonio. So then Udoka goes with Brett Brown in Philadelphia for 4 or 5 years as his top assistant.
Man.
Even heading into last year, if you look at all the assistant coaches in the NBA, Udoka was the only assistant coach that was making more than $2 million. He was the highest paid assistant coach in the league last year because everybody knew that he was going to get a head coaching opportunity at some point. They just didn't know where, and Philadelphia was kind of doing what a lot of NFL teams do where they have a really good assistant and they don't want to let him go. So they just pay him basically head coaching money to keep him on the bench as an assistant. And once they got rid of Brett Brown in Philadelphia, the new regime came in and said, we like you, Udoka, but we kind of want to go with a different direction and a different start. So Brett Stevens stepped down in Boston and made Udoka an offer he couldn't refuse, and now look what they got out of him.
Man, you're not lying, and that's a very good point you make up. You know, if you're coming out from underneath that Popovich tree, then that automatically – gives you some mad respect because you know the lineage you're coming from, and if you're under Pop, that's a hellified, especially, and then you got Coach K on top of it. I mean, that's like double hellified mentorship. That's like going to like Yale and Harvard for business, and you got both of those schools on your resume. I mean, that's crazy.
He literally has 17 years of coaching experience underneath arguably the 3 greatest men's coaches of all time.
Which, like I see, now I can understand why you say, you're not surprised. Because when you come from that type of lineage, I wouldn't be surprised either. And I didn't understand. I guess I didn't realize he had that much lineage underneath those mentors. So appreciate you bringing that out, Stat Guy. I learned something today.
I'm going to try something different today. So Freddie created something, and we're going to try something different. Jay, you know what it is.
Bring on the hot take, baby.
That's right. Stat Guy, you are going to take Friday's hot take.
Don't let us down,
all
Stat
sports,
Guy.
all plays. 365, we making up plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays.
So for today's hot take, Friday's hot take, so this has now been created by Freddie, my hot take is Luka Doncic is going to win the 2022-2023 NBA MVP based off of how he's played in the playoffs. He's now cemented himself as a top 5 player in this league. He's carried the Dallas Mavericks in the playoffs, through the playoffs, to the point where they are right now. And I think he's finally discovered his true potential as a player, where I expect him to come into next season as the MVP favorite. And I think he wins the 2022-2023 NBA MVP.
Hot take. I do. I love it. I love that hot take. I got a couple of questions on your hot take that I want you to address, primarily because I've been talking about why isn't Luka Doncic more into, or should he be now considered, part of the MVP conversation? And it was told to me that he doesn't have enough accolades yet, like Giannis and stuff, or whatever, and that's why he's not in that conversation. And for me personally, I think his legacy has taken that next level hit. But they're saying, according to everybody else, that no, he's not there yet. He still needs more time. He needs more this, that, and the other. I think it's complete total bullshit. But I like your hot take, man.
The thing with the MVP, and I've never agreed with it just because I've never agreed with it for two reasons. 99% of the time, the MVP is always going to go to a player that comes from the team with the best record.
Yeah.
We've seen it with Giannis. We've seen it with LeBron. We've seen it with Curry. We've seen it with KD. I mean, with the exception of Jokic the last couple of years, the MVP typically goes to the team that has the best record, which I disagree with just because usually the team that has the best record also has a lot of great players surrounding that MVP.
That makes a lot of sense.
When it comes to the MVP, you need to look at who makes the biggest difference for their team, which is why Jokic got it the last 2 years, because without Jokic, Denver's absolutely nothing.
Absolutely.
You take Giannis out of the mix for Milwaukee. Yes, Milwaukee's going to take a big hit, but they still have other players that are still going to put that team in the playoffs. Denver's not a playoff team without Jokic.
And same way with Dallas. I mean, Dallas wouldn't be where they are without Luka either.
And then the other thing that I've said is they need to stop making the MVP a regular season award, and they need to wait until after the playoffs is over to award.
I agree, man. I hate this regular season BS.
Or create a dual MVP. Give a regular season MVP and an NBA playoffs MVP. I'm not talking an NBA Finals MVP, but give like a regular season MVP.
An overall MVP.
Yeah, and then a playoffs MVP.
And that's where I agree also, Stat Guy, because once you said that, I think the MVP should last until we see who's the last two final teams in the finals. Once you get your two final teams in the finals, then you give out your season MVP award throughout.
Because then you're really encompassing what it took throughout the entire process, and not just a small segment of it.
Exactly. And then for the finals, you might as well just give your finals MVP to the person who showed up for that final. So I agree with that. That's a very good hot take. That's amazing.
Matter of fact, you know what, Frankie? I'm even good with a hybrid where it would be take the regular season plus the entire playoffs, smack it together, have that one MVP, and then have your finals MVP. And I think those two MVPs I'd be fine with.
Right, and that's what I was saying, Jay. Like, you might as well just wait to see who's the final two teams.
Okay, Frank, I didn't know.
No. You made it sound way more professional than what I was saying, and so.
But we're on the same page, and I think that's where we need to go. I mean, seriously.
It only makes you right because it doesn't make no sense to give the season MVP award before the playoffs, or at least within the first round of the playoffs, and then wait till the finals for your finals MVP. Because if you're going to give your finals MVP for the finals person, you might as well call that like a playoffs MVP. I mean,
let's be honest. I'm going to use James Harden as a classic example. When James Harden got his MVP with Houston, and then you see what he does when he gets into the playoffs, he basically disappears and goes to Cancun without really being in Cancun. And then you want to tell me this is a freaking MVP? Get the fuck out of here. You got to be an MVP from start to finish, man. Not just to the regular season. To me, that's just mediocrity. And really, when you do that well in the regular season, but you don't do well in the playoffs, to me, it takes all the credibility out of the regular season. Because now I'm not looking at that award as being credible because of what they did in the playoffs.
I agree. And with that, guys, with Stats Guys, insane, incredible, the most sexiest hot take we could ever have in ASAP by calling Luka Doncic the next year's MVP.
I like it. I like it.
We're going to move on and talk about tonight's game between the Dallas Mavericks and the Golden State Warriors.
Yes.
Guys, game one was a bully game for Luka. Luka got bullied in that game. He was getting hit left and right. He was getting scratches in the face. He was getting bumped. I mean, what an amazing game one. I know they got blown out, or they got beat really bad. But you can't deny that Golden State was playing really tough defense on the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks couldn't find not one perfect quarter for this game against the Golden State Warriors. Do you guys think that we might have a sweep on our hands?
No,
I don't think it's sweep, but I think it goes 5.
I got to go in 6. Because it's hard for me to say because, when Dallas went and played Phoenix and they went down 0-2 going into Dallas, everybody had Dallas written off with the exception of probably Rob Scott. Rob Scott had them picked. He had Dallas picked to win the whole thing. So I think Rob was really, in my opinion, stat guy. I know you weren't there, so I'm not going to speak for you. But I know for the ones that we have been talking about, like Pride and everybody else, we all had Dallas as kind of like, okay, whatever. Maybe they get one. But then they go into Dallas, and they take the 2-game homestand out of Dallas, and now it's 2-2, going back to freaking Phoenix, and all of a sudden we're thinking like, well, damn. Okay, maybe Dallas could do something here. And then, when you look at Chris Paul and what happened after his 37th birthday, and pretty much him and Booker went to Cancun without being in Cancun on Game 5, all of a sudden now Dallas is looking like, okay, they can. Now, Golden State is a different animal. I get that. And matter of fact, in Game 1, I was feeling really insecure the first, quarter even. I just felt like in my bones, Golden State was just playing at that ferocious level. It was crazy. And so it kind of does make me a little nervous going into Dallas, and if Dallas can do that same thing all over again. But I do think that Dallas gets at least 2 games out of the 6 or out of the 7, whatever, 6, 7, whatever. I think they do get 2 wins. Stat guy?
I think they get 1. Golden State never gets enough credit for their defense.
They really don't. I agree.
Their defense is a top 5 defense in the NBA, and they were never talked about just because they're one of the more explosive NBA teams offensively. But once the playoffs start, their defense goes to an entirely different level, and it's even better than what it is during the regular season, which is hard to believe.
Right.
When you look at Golden State, even when the playoffs started, I said Golden State was going to win the whole thing because I said Phoenix was not playing well going into the playoffs. And then you kind of saw that during that New Orleans series that realistically should have went 7 games. And if it did go 7 games, New Orleans even said that Zion was going to play Game 7. I wanted that series to go 7 games so bad just so I could see Zion.
Me too.
And that should have been a red flag for Phoenix right there, wondering how the heck you went to 6 games, almost 7 games with New Orleans. Because New Orleans had no business even being close to beating you in that series. And then you get Dallas, and you do the same thing. A team that you're better than, a team that you've proven to be better than, and all of a sudden the playoffs start, and you look mediocre at best versus Golden State. Take away the 1 game where Memphis absolutely curb stomped them in the backyard. Golden State has not had a single bad playoff game this year.
No, they haven't. Matter of fact, that the Death Squad has seen Death Squad 2.0 at this point. And I got to be honest with you, that guy, Frankie, when I watched that game, my star player wasn't Curry. Wasn't Thompson. And wasn't even Draymond. My star player was Wiggins.
That's the scariest part about Golden State this year as opposed to when they had Kevin Durant back when they were winning their championships before. It's because you knew that your star player was going to be Curry, Durant, or Thompson every single night.
Right. And in that Game 1, it was Mitchell Wiggins.
Yeah.
Not Mitchell Wiggins. I'm saying his daddy.
Andrew Wiggins.
And I'm saying his daddy because his daddy played for the Rockets. But Andrew Wiggins was the star player. What he did with Luka and the points that he scored and the defense, I mean, he really was the star on that game.
Yeah, and now you look at Golden State in general right now. Jordan Poole was the star of round 1. Nobody would have expected Jordan Poole to do what he did in round 1. Round 2, Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, who you would expect to be the stars, were the stars in round 2. And now you get to the conference finals. Golden State literally has 5 guys that are going to give you 15 points. They have 4 guys that chances are going to give you 20 points on a given night in Wiggins, Poole, Thompson, and Curry. Yeah. I don't care how good of a defensive team you have. There's not a defensive team out there that's going to be able to contain Golden State. You might be able to slow them down, but there's no way that you can contain them because they have too much firepower. And they're finally playing at that level that they played at 4 years ago when they were at their peak because they basically redid that entire roster, made it the same roster that they had when they had Kevin Durant. They just got a little bit smaller and went with Wiggins in place of him.
I got a question for Frankie because I know Frankie and his love affair with Kevin Durant is off the charts. And if you don't know that I'm being sarcastic, I'm being sarcastic. But here's a question I have for Frankie and Stat Guy, Wayne as well, because I'm curious. So they won without Kevin Durant at the very beginning. Then they bring in Kevin Durant. They win with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant leaves, and now they're going to win again, most likely, unless something crazy happens. I really think kind of Golden State wins the finals at this point. I don't know. It's the Celtics. I think the Celtics are going to come into the East. I think probably now I think Golden State's going to go into the West. I just think Golden State's on another level right now with all the experience so forth that Death Squad 2 is going to emerge probably as your finals winners. If they win without Kevin Durant and having him leave, what does that mean for Kevin Durant, given what Kevin Durant did with Brooklyn?
He's garbage, Jay.
I'm saying, what does that do to his legacy, though? It's got to kill it almost to a certain level.
I mean, I don't even understand why he has a legacy. He
has a legacy. He does. He's not that he's still a hellified player. But I'm just saying, he's got one championship with Golden State, nothing with OKC, nothing with Brooklyn. And it kind of makes you now wonder what's the legitimacy of his ring, because did Golden State really need Durant to get the ring anyway?
See,
and that's why I'm asking you guys.
Well, I hate to say that just because I'm never going to discredit anybody for earning a ring however they get it.
I do.
But if people are going to discredit Kevin Durant for getting his rings by going to Golden State, you have to discredit 3 of LeBron James's rings then too. Because
I get that too.
He literally played with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, two Hall of Famers that he got 2 rings with. Then he went to the Lakers and played with Anthony Davis, who has Hall of Fame potential if he could stay healthy. The only ring that technically LeBron James really earned was that first go-around the second go-around in Cleveland. Granted, he had Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, but he had nobody else outside of those 2. And he came back from 3-1 down to Golden State that year to earn that ring. So if people are going to say Kevin Durant, if people are going to discredit Durant for getting the rings the way he did, I would argue that you have to discredit 3 of LeBron's rings too because of who he played with.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree with that. Again, I'm not trying to, I'm not saying that LeBron's not a great player, but you do have to look at that. And if you're objectively looking at it, that him and Durant are in that same boat. They just are. And that's why in my heart of hearts, and even in my objective heart of hearts, I think that what Kobe did with the Lakers and what Michael Jordan did with the Bulls, in my mind, objectively, always is going to outweigh what Durant did with Golden State and what pretty much Bron has done with the other 2 teams.
Definitely, yeah.
And it's just the way they did it. It's the way they did it and what they built and how. And we all know that Phil Jackson was nobody's going to argue that. But you can't say that Spoelstra is not a good coach either, because Spoelstra has a team damn near 3/4 undrafted mother-effers. And they're in the damn finals or conference finals. So you can't say Spoelstra's not a good coach. You can't say that the Celtics don't have a good coach. You can't say that Steve Kerr's not a good coach. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Pop's a good coach. I mean, so I don't care about this whole, them having Phil Jackson, because there's a lot of other teams out there that have great coaches as well.
That is true. But I don't care about Kevin Durant's legacy.
I know you don't, man. I know you don't.
I don't care about his rings. I don't care what stats guy says. If you got to discredit Kevin Durant, man, I hate him. I will discredit any ring that man wears. He could wear a Hall of Fame ring, and I'm going to discredit that. That's your problem, shit.
Frankie. When it comes to sports, you wear your heart on your sleeve, man. I'm telling you. It's on your sleeve. I know how to – look, I love Frankie, but I know how to cut Frankie. All I got to do is call him a Boston Red Sox fan, and he instantaneously has got a carotid artery in the neck slashed.
Yeah, I'm ready to get the knife and cut my wrist every time he calls me a Boston Red Sox fan. So who you guys got going tonight? Dallas Mavericks or Golden State?
Yeah, man. I think I know what stat guy's gonna say, but I'm definitely gonna. I'm gonna give him max time. So I'm just gonna say I'm gonna keep it quick. I got Golden State. I just think they're too much right now. And at home, coming off that momentum of a win, I just think they're too much.
I think Golden State's gonna send a message. Whether it's tonight, whether it's game 3, whether it's game 4, game 5, whenever they clinch, I think they're just going to send a message to the Eastern Conference where they're basically going to say it doesn't matter who comes out the East. You do not have a team that's better than us. You don't have an offense that's capable of stopping us. You don't have a defense that can stop us or anything like that. I think Golden State knew when Klay Thompson was out last year that they were not going to make the playoffs. And then you had Stephen Curry get hurt that first month of the season where he could have came back in February, but they just decided to sit him for the rest of the year knowing that you weren't going to have a healthy Thompson. What's the point of putting Curry out there if you're not going anywhere anyways?
Right.
So Golden State basically had a year where I'm not going to say they tanked, but they basically had a year where they realistically didn't have to try. And
Right.
in that year, they basically remade their roster the way it was when they were winning NBA championships and did it so quietly that nobody even talked about it. And then you get to this season. Yes, they had that 9-game losing streak in February into March, but we've seen it before, even outside of the year that Golden State went 73-9. We've seen it before where Golden State is so used to being in the NBA Finals. They're so used to winning. They're so used to making a deep playoff run that the regular season is boring for them. Where it looks like a lot of times during the regular season, they're just going through the motions and they don't even try. But as soon as the playoffs start, they flip a switch. And when they flip that switch, it is almost impossible for any team to turn it off. And that's, I think, what Golden State has done since the playoffs started. They flipped that switch again, and now you're seeing that Golden State team that was winning the NBA championship all those years.
Let me ask you a question, and this is really for both of you guys. We've seen the Splash Brothers now for, good God, man, a hot minute.
A decade.
And these guys are still playing well. And Klay Thompson, his first year back after being gone for almost 2 years, for those injuries, he's rounded back into form. This year, Klay Thompson is not the real Klay Thompson. This is him getting acclimated back to the game of basketball. I don't think we see the real Klay Thompson in his shooting form, hitting those consistent three balls like he's always done. I don't think we see that until next year. I think Klay is still another year away from that, but I think Klay gets back eventually. But I see this. My opinion, I think the Splash Brothers and this Death Squad lineup that they got, I think they've got at least 3 or 4 more years of being competitive for the finals. Do you guys think that, or do you see a shorter or a longer lifespan?
I think instead of having a 2-year window, they bought themselves a 5-year window.
Right.
And that's just because of the emergence of Jordan Poole, who's only 25. Andrew Wiggins is only 27, and if Wiggins was smart, he wouldn't care about the money. He would stay with Golden State where he knows he's going to win. You have Curry, who's 33. You have Thompson, who's 31. But unlike a lot of other 33 and 31-year-olds, Curry and Thompson don't put the beating that a lot of these players put on their bodies because they're shooting.
No. All they got to do is hit the 3-ball or the mid-range jumper.
Exactly. And that's why you're looking at a team that when Thompson was hurt the last couple of years and you saw the injuries piling up to Curry, I said they were going to have about a 2-year window because once one of those guys hit free agency, I figured it was going to be over. But now you have guys like Poole emerging. You have Wiggins playing the way he's playing. Draymond Green is still playing the way he's playing. This is a team that has a 5-year window once again where they could rule the Western Conference for the next 5 years.
And God forbid if Wiseman could just keep his ass healthy, what the hell he could do to this team.
And that's a scary part. Like what you were saying about Klay Thompson. Look at how well Klay Thompson is playing right now.
Right.
And he might not even be 100% yet.
I don't think he is. I don't think he's rounded fully into form.
Yeah, and that's scary to think about because all of a sudden you get him back 100% next year. You have Curry back. You have Wiggins back. You have Poole back. You have Green back. And then if you get Wiseman back and if he can actually stay healthy and give you anything.
Oh, that's crazy.
That team's going to be the favorite in the Western Conference from day one, and they're going to be the favorites in the West until something breaks that team apart.
So, question, how many championships? I got them, I believe, at 3. Is that how many?
Yep.
The Splash Brothers had 3 championships, right? Or is it 2?
They have 3.
So, it's 3. So, okay, so they need 3 more, or Curry needs at least 3 more to tie up with, or no, to tie up with Jordan. What if Curry could do what Kobe wasn't able to get to and get 6?
I think he can.
So my question for Frankie, that's your Lakers guy, Kobe Bryant, and we all love Kobe. Mamba mentality. And I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination is Curry better than Kobe, because we all know the answer to that. But what does that mean for his legacy? I mean, could you imagine him getting 6 rings?
I can. But Jay, it's Freestyle Friday. It's Freaky Friday. I know I'm the host and I gotta be professional and stuff. But damn it, the hell with that. The Golden State Warriors are my rivals, and the hell with them and what's that guy saying they're gonna continue to go on and win next year. Man, my Lakers are coming back next year, damn it. I have to have that heart. I have to have that heart for my Lakers and say that. We're coming back next year to win the goddamn NBA championship. LeBron James, you need that ring. Anthony Davis wants that ring. Jeannie Buss pissing me off, woman. No, but Curry.
I know you don't really believe that, because that stat guy's over there rolling his eyes to the back of his forehead when you're talking about the Lakers making a comeback next year.
Those are my boys, damn it. No, but with the way the NBA is now in today's era, I do believe that Steph Curry can tie up with Michael Jordan 6 rings. Now,
man, I'm telling you.
Would that change anything in the saying of GOAT conversations and stuff?
Oh, no. We're not talking about GOAT conversations.
Right.
We're not talking GOAT.
Well, Jay, you know how people do. You know, when it comes to rings, they start throwing people into the GOAT conversation. They forget to look at stats and how they played the game, and they look at how many rings people have.
And I always say that because, you know what my argument always is? Well, Robert Ory's got 5 or 6 rings, and you're going to tell me he's the GOAT? He is Big Shot Rob, but he's not the GOAT. But he's got the same rings. So,
exactly.
Yeah, I'm not putting that out there.
Like Bill Russell. Bill Russell has 10 rings.
I don't know. No. Bill Russell was a hellified – no, hold on. Bill Russell was a hellified player, though.
Right, but why are they not putting him in a GOAT conversation? They always put in LeBron James.
I think Kareem kind of hurt Bill Russell, and I do think. Let me ask. Okay, stat guy, you're a stats person. Do we overlook or do we not put enough respect on Bill Russell and what he did with Boston?
I think a lot of people do overlook him, but he does get the respect he deserves, because if you look at the NBA when Bill Russell was getting all those titles, it was realistically Boston or the Lakers. There was really not another team in that era that you expected to win the NBA championship.
So what you're telling me is that basically Bill Russell doesn't get the respect because the competition wasn't as fierce as it is in the Showtime days or the Chicago Bulls days or the Kobe or so forth. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. And that's not like, I'm not trying to disrespect Bill Russell at all. But
be bringing people on my show, Jay.
That pretty much kind of is what he falls into.
Of course I have it.
Just like with, if you want to go to the NCAA world where John Wooden and UCLA won those 7 national championships in a row, you got to remember when they were winning those NCAA titles, it was only a 16-team field. It wasn't a 64-team field. So yes,
I get that.
I give them credit,
and that does make sense to me.
I give them
Shut
credit.
the hell up about Bill Russell, his old ass. He got his ring. Who cares?
I give UCLA credit for winning like 7 championships in a row. But if you look at what Mike Krzyzewski did with Duke, he took them to 17 consecutive Sweet 16s. So if you're going based off of that, when UCLA was winning those national titles, it was only a 16-team field. So does that mean that Mike Krzyzewski wins 17 straight championships if he coached in that era?
No, that's true. And that is a damn good point.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hold on to your hats. It don't matter what team it is. We have a special person in the back. Jay, I wanted to give him a proper introduction, but you want to go ahead and have it yourself. You keep your hands off the mouse, you little. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't know if he's a Bulls fan, but we definitely know that he is a diehard Steph Curry Golden State Warriors fan. And since we were talking about the Dallas Mavericks and the Golden State Warriors, let me bring up my bro. Might be a different color, but in the heart, he's my bro. My Chicago man, my boy, Rob Scott.
Frankie, you got issues, bro.
It's Freaky Friday, bro.
What's up, guys? How y'all feeling?
Hey, listen, I went to the tanning salon yesterday, Rob.
There we go.
And I
Asians.
couldn't make a decision, so I actually wound up walking out. But when I went there, the lady said, "Well, let me ask you, sir. What is your goal? What is your tanning goal?" And I had two pictures with me.
I see where this is going.
He wants to come out looking like David Batista.
Listen, I had two pictures with me. The first picture I showed him was Frankie. The second picture I showed was Rob. And I said, I want to be right in the middle complexion between these two guys. Can I get the middle complexion of these two individuals? And apparently she said, "Sir, we don't operate like that." And I said, "Okay, well then let me do some more research and I'll come back." Rob, I couldn't get the tan I wanted.
It's all good, man. It's hard to get this bronze.
Oh my God!
I said I wanted somewhere between caramel and dark chocolate, baby. And I couldn't get it. So I don't know.
Rob, we just got done talking about your Warriors.
Oh, I've been listening
everybody
to y'all.
here.
I was listening to y'all, man.
Everybody
I just had
here
a rough
saying-
morning this morning, but I'm back.
Everybody's saying the Warriors are winning. I want your take on it. Obviously, you're a Warriors diehard fan.
Everybody's right.
Steph Curry, let's get it real. So,
He makes it look Steffortless.
I know the real Rob. He wears the Steph Curry gear. It's the Golden State colors, but it's for Steph Curry.
It's for Curry, baby.
Well, let me ask Rob the question, Rob. So your team, they look pretty good right now, right? In terms of health-wise, playing-wise, so forth. How many more competitive finals years do you think Golden State has in them?
Oh, that's a good question. I say at least 3.
About 3 more?
At least 3 where you can catch, because I believe Draymond would deteriorate first.
Right.
Out of Steph, Clay, and Draymond, and that's just because
That'd be okay if James Wiseman can stay healthy.
Yeah, but I mean, are we really gonna trust that? We've seen the bad luck that 7-footers have had with trying to stay healthy.
So would you say then, in that fact, that you think that Wiseman is just going to wind up being a bust and just not?
I mean, I hope not. He's still young enough to write his own story, but I don't know what it is with these 7-footers, man. It's like they don't train every part of their body, or they're not eating right, or something.
And it takes a lot when your body's that big on those joints. Those joints take a lot, and the feet take a lot.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're in the NBA and all you want to do is eat healthy. Damn it, you gotta have a steak now and then.
Hey, wait till Golden State drafts who they're rumored to be favoring in the first round.
That guy put up a very good information that I want to put out there. Steve Kerr is 22-2 in the postseason series as a coach. Both losses have been in the conference finals or in the NBA finals. He has a .757 in the postseason winning percentage. That's number 1 all time. Now, should we start looking at Steve Kerr, as like the Phil Jacksons and people like that back in the day?
Well, he's getting there. He's got more championships to go, but he's getting there.
I mean, but I think his name already comes up. Like, he's definitely in the top 5 coaches.
And like what I said to you before, Jay, where I said Golden State treats like the regular season differently, where they get bored in the regular season.
Right.
Steve Kerr's regular season winning percentage is a .656. And you got to remember, he had like those 2 years where he had over an .800 winning percentage. So you take those 2 years away, his regular season winning percentage is around a .630, which is still good. But his playoff winning percentage is a .757. Once the playoffs start, Golden State plays at a completely different level.
Yeah, that's crazy.
For me, I got him at 5. I still got Phil, Red, Pop, and Riley ahead of him. I think he comes right under Riley, but I don't think if he continues the trend in which he's going, he'll pass Riley and go right up underneath Pop within a heartbeat.
I put Kerr as like probably number 5 or number 6 in terms of regular season coaches, but I will put him number 2 in the postseason behind Jack.
That's crazy. That I can't let you do it. Not when Phil and Red have done what they've done. I can't I can't take that seriously. I got to be honest with you. 11 championships, 10 championships. That's just too goddamn many to say that Curry is number 2 is just insane to me.
Nah, in playoffs, I put him as number 3. Or no, actually number 4. Like if we're talking postseason,
I just think what Phil and Red have done in the NBA is so far and above.
Yeah, I got Phil, Red, Coach Pop, and then Steve Kerr.
Now
I can see Stat Guy challenging Pop. I can see him. Pop still has 5. So
but Pop
it's hard right now. But it's just hard to put Kerr in that conversation. I get this. I get the winning percentage at 757, but I also got to say, how many times have you been in the finals compared to those guys?
He's been in the finals 5 times.
It's hard.
He's been to the final 5 times, and this team has walked away with 3 championships.
Right.
So,
I think to put him above Riley and Pop for me is more palatable than it is to say that he's above Red Auerbach.
Talk about Pop being one of the most winningest coaches in NBA.
No, I get that. That's my point. It's just too hard to go that direction.
To me, Pop gets the edge due to longevity. Coach Jackson and Coach Auerbach, they get the edge just due to winning. Like their teams won, and they had different variations of that team of those teams, and they still won. I mean, you look at Phil Jackson. It's really hard when you're talking about a guy who's won his championships in multiples. Like he's had 3 three-peats and then a repeat. It's kind of hard to overlook it. And then with Coach Red, of course, you know, not only what he was able to do with that Boston Celtics organization, but the empowerment he gave to a Bill Russell, where Bill Russell was able to continue to win as a player coach after Red retired. So it's hard to overlook those coaches, but Steve Kerr is definitely on his way. I mean, I think his real test is going to come after the Steph Curry golden years of Golden State. What's the status of Golden State, and can you get there again without these said players? You know what I mean? Right. I think he wins one more, he's going to be above Coach Popovich. But if we're talking about Phil Jackson and let's just look at Phil Jackson alone, because that's an era that I recognize. There was 2 variations of the Bulls. That was Michael, Scotty, and Horace, then Michael, Scotty, and Rodman. And then you got Kobe and Shaq, and then you had Kobe and Gasol. So, and he won with each one of those variations of those teams. So,
and here's kind of an interesting nugget with what you just said, though.
Yeah,
you want to see what Steve Kerr would look like once Curry and once Thompson and them kind of get into their down years, or once they leave the organization, to see if he can get Golden State kind of back at that level.
Yeah,
who's to say he's not going to leave with them?
That's a good point.
Knowing, because he's going to be approaching 60 years old when these guys are done. We've already seen him as a GM before in Phoenix, and he's already built that Phoenix team into a Western Conference contender back when they had Marion and Nash and Stoudemire in that group. Who's to say that when Curry and Thompson and these guys get to the point where they're no longer a title contender, Kerr might just walk away from coaching it back in a GM?
That's a great point. Especially too, considering his age at that time. God, it's hard to realize that Steve Kerr is like almost 60 years old. Like, dude looks good. But yeah, that's a great point. But he's proven himself as a GM, so I believe wherever he goes, he can get that team turned back around. So
we all grew up watching Steve Kerr in the late 90s with the Chicago Bulls winning 3 championships with them with Michael Jordan. Now, is his coaching career kind of looking better now than his playing career with the Bulls back in the 90s, looking at the 2 different eras?
I mean, it's hard to say, because he wasn't a starter during the Bulls' first 3-peat, but he was during their second 3-peat. And he wasn't going to be a guy that was going to give you a ton of points, but even during the Bulls' second 3-peat, he was their best shooter, especially from behind the perimeter. So Kerr still left a lasting imprint on that Chicago franchise, no matter if it was coming off the bench as a 6th man or being their starting point guard. He just wasn't the offensive threat. And the thing that Kerr did that a lot of coaches never did was he was a GM first and a coach second. And when he became the GM of Phoenix, he went from the Chicago Bulls to the San Antonio Spurs, where he finished his career under Greg Popovich. So he basically finished his playing career with the two of the greatest coaches of all time, and he saw how their style of basketball worked. He goes into Phoenix, and instead of taking Phoenix's roster and turning it into that type of style, he wanted to create a different style of basketball that could counteract with the things that Phil Jackson and the things that Popovich had been so successful at, which was defense. So what did he do? He created the greatest offensive team in a 3-year stretch in the Western Conference when he had that Nash, Marion, Stoudemire group in Phoenix that was winning 58 to 64 games a season. He saw the kind of success that they had. Granted, they never won a title. Comes to Golden State, brings a GM with him, and is starting to talk with that GM and basically says, this is what worked well for me in Phoenix. This is what we need to do in Golden State. And this is exactly what he's done. He's basically taken that Phoenix roster that he had, brought it with him to Golden State, just added more pieces around it.
Yeah. I'm listening to you, Dustin. I just can't take Frankie. Can't take these dudes.
Hey, listen. Hey, when we say the private chat stays in the private chat, listen. Hey, listen. When you look, and I'm going to be honest with you, when you look at Red Auerbach's 8 consecutive titles, nobody's done that. Nobody's even come close to doing that. Ever.
You also got to look at the time.
No, I'm not looking at anything. I'm looking at 8 consecutive titles.
Yeah, they played.
You know how hard that? No, I'm just saying. Do you know how hard that is to do in any generation?
It is.
That's hard. I mean, we got to put respect on that.
All right, guys, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, I'm gonna get Rob's thoughts on the Celtics and Heat game. Since we already talked about that one, and he came in late, I want to get his thoughts on that. But we'll be right back. Please stay and do not go anywhere.
All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so type the laces. All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays.
And this is where we wind up in the hot takes. Hey, listen, hot take. You want a damn hot take? I'm going to give you a hot take, man. Listen. I think Ohtani is going to set another record before this is all said and done. At some point, Ohtani for the Anaheim, Los Angeles, I keep saying Anaheim, for the Los Angeles Angels is going to set another record, and I think it's going to be strikeouts in a game. He did 11, I believe it was against Boston. He became the first pitcher, I believe, to have 100 home runs and 250 strikeouts in a single season. The only one that other pitchers done that was Babe Ruth back in the early, 20s. So, again, I think Ohtani's making big-time records, and I think he's going to make another record. And it could even be strikeouts in a single season. I think that might even be another record he breaks. But I think Ohtani is going to break another pitching record before the season is over with. That's my hot take.
Nice hot take. I love it.
Yeah, I heard Dustin's Stat Guy's hot take earlier too. That was a great take. I think Luka, but I think the question becomes, does Luka come in the season healthy, like ready to go? Because he was out of shape, and I think that little tidbit is what prevented him from getting MVP this year, or at least being in the conversation, because Dallas didn't start the season off too great. And a lot of that you can accredit to Luka being out of shape. So if he comes in shape and ready to go, Luka Magic might be your next MVP, baby. And great
I got
hot
a
take
question.
about Otani, Jay. Great hot take. I know who Otani is.
Hey, listen, here's another question for you guys, basketball related. Obviously, Orlando got the number 1 spot in the lottery. So, Rob, I know me and you, I think me and you have already touched on this.
Yeah, last night,
But I kind of want to see what Stat Guy's opinion is. Frank, I know you weren't able to be there, so I'll get you guys' opinion. Top 3 guys: Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, and Banchero.
Banchero Payola.
Hey.
Did you just call him Payola?
Payola.
What is wrong with you?
I heard Jay Ness say it, and I like it.
Oh my god.
Payola.
Hey, Frankie. So who do you think Orlando takes?
I think they'll probably take Jabari Smith. They need a power forward. Auburn's power forward. He's like a good one of the greatest in college to do what he did this year with Auburn. Apparently they lost, but if they don't go for Jabari Smith, I think they're going to go for Chad from Gonzaga.
Yeah,
but let's be real, Jay. Whoever they pick up is going to have a terrible year.
Oh, well, yeah, Orlando's been kind of hurt. Consensus seems to be Chet Holmgren, the 7'1" guy. I personally kind of think maybe it's going to be Banchero. I think Banchero kind of slides in nicely with Cole Anthony and the rest of what they're doing as a ball handler. Rob, who you got?
I think they're getting Chet.
Yeah, Chet Holmgren.
They shouldn't get Chet. If I was Orlando, I would get my boy Payola. Pablo. Yeah. I say his name the right way. Pablo. But I like Banchero. Like, I think he reminds me a lot of Ben Simmons.
How dare you?
You can do a lot from that point forward position, man.
How dare you? How dare you compare him to Ben Simmons? Ben Simmons doesn't have half the offensive talent that Banchero has falling out of bed.
Well,
that's true. And he's not afraid to shoot the rock when you're at the rim.
I'm saying as far as point forward skills go. I get you though, Stat Guy. My bad. I don't mean to disrespect. But I think Orlando, especially with them having Wendell Carter, you kind of already set at the big man position. You bring in a point forward, and I think you got a nice little core to contend with. If you bring in Chet Holmgren, then it becomes a question of what you gonna do with Carter. You know what I mean? Because Wendell Carter played pretty well for the Orlando Magic this year.
Wendell Carter is a power forward playing a center position, though.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, technically, as we spoke about last night, how many legit centers are there in the NBA? Not that many.
I mean, there's legit centers, but they don't play in the post.
Yeah, a lot of times they don't.
And that's what I'm saying. But Wendell Carter does play in the post, and he can stretch the floor with a shooter.
Jay, take over for a second.
I got you. So, Stat Guy, who is your number 1 pick for Orlando?
Oh, I'm going to break this down in 2 parts.
Okay.
Who do I think Orlando's going to take? I think they're going to take Chet Holmgren. Who should they take? They should take Banchero. I kind of compare this to when the Zion Williamson's Ja Morant debate a couple years ago, where everyone knew Ja Morant and Zion were going to go 1 and 2. It was just a matter of who wanted him number 1, who wanted him number 2, and you can look back on it now and say that Ja Morant is a way better player than what Zion is, just because Ja's been able to stay healthy and Zion hasn't been. But you know damn well all 30 GMs picking number 1 were going to take Zion number 1 because of the potential he had, because of what he could bring to the table in terms of merchandise sales, in terms of season ticket sales, in terms of branding and everything. There was not a single GM that was going to take Ja Morant number 1, even if he was a better player. You can say the same thing about this year's class where, in my opinion, Paolo Banchero is a more complete and a more seasoned player than what Chet Holmgren is right now. Chet Holmgren is 7'1", but weighs 195 pounds and has absolutely no post presence because he gets pushed around by small forwards that weigh 220. So Chet Holmgren is basically kind of that defensive stopper at the rim, even though he has trouble doing that, but he's going back to kind of that 7-footer that stretches the floor and shoots the threes, versus Banchero has 6'11", 264 pounds. He has the size to make you pay on the inside. He can stretch the floor with his shooting. He can handle the ball. So he might be like the most complete prospect at this point. But just having the upside that Chet Holmgren has is why I think Orlando takes him number one, because it's going to be a thing where if you don't take him and he pans out to be the best player in this class, it's like, great, we whiffed when we had him in our hands, versus if you do take him and then Banchero ends up being miles better than Holmgren and Holmgren ends up being a bust, you can look at it and say every other GM was going to take Holmgren number one anyway, so you can't really be mad at us for it.
Yeah. He said, yeah.
Hey, let me ask y'all this quick question: is that Jay rapping the All Sports All Plays song?
Am I what now?
No, not you, Jay Ness.
What about him?
Who's rapping the intro for ASAP? Who is that person rapping?
I don't know. I think that's some scrub they found on the side of the street. They paid him $2.35 to make a little quick demo, and he made it.
Jay's
on timeout. he's got to go on timeout.
Jay gonna get us kicked off.
That's our intro. He said that's some scrub.
All you go here.
No, man, I don't know who that is, man. It could be anybody on that thing for all we know. It's a good intro, so hey, it is what it is. Whatever.
Yeah,
I'm always
fix that up. It's a good intro.
I'm like, you gotta fix that up real quick, my boy.
So, Rob, Boston Celtics won yesterday.
By a lot.
127 to 102.
Lord,
give me your thoughts on that one. With Marcus Smart and Al Horford back.
Oh my God! I mean, I felt bad because I actually picked Miami to win. Like I thought that with Horford coming back off COVID protocols, you're never completely healthy.
You can still return to sender there, Rob. You can return that Miami prediction to the sender yet.
I think I have to, because after the way they played last night, man.
What I call them? What do I call them, Rob?
Who you talking about? Miami?
Yeah. What do I call them?
They just soft. They trash.
Exactly. So why would you
garbage?
So look at this hot take, boys.
Chet is going to be I don't think so.
I'm actually never mind.
I think Chet will be.
I don't like siding with Xander, but I agree just because you're 7 foot. You're 7'1", 190 pounds. Like,
well, he's gonna put some weight on. I think the NBA is gonna put weight on him.
Yeah, but even if he puts weight on, how much weight can he physically put on?
Well, 7'1", he can put on probably about 30 or 40 pounds.
And get up to 220.
Yeah.
That's not going to do him any good if they want him to play in the post.
Let me ask y'all a question.
Yeah, you got it. Well, that's true.
And that's the only reason why Kevin Durant is as successful as he is, because he knows that at 6'11", 225 pounds, he can't play in the post. So all he's done is literally shoot mid-range jumpers or perimeter jumpers because he knows he can't play in the post. Chet Holmgren is not a good enough or consistent enough shooter to be out on the perimeter. He needs to use his size on the inside, and even if he gets up to 220, he has no chance to last in the NBA because everyone's going to push him out of the paint.
Yeah, because Nikolai Jokic weighs at 284, so he's going to have to put on at least 70 or 80 pounds.
Oh, ain't nothing he can do with Joker, bro.
Joel Embiid
I'm just using that as an example. I'm just using that way as an example.
But look at Joel Embiid.
I don't know what Embiid's probably about the same. Embiid's probably about 275, 280.
Yeah, and Joel Embiid can shoot the three and play in the paint because he weighs 270.
I don't even think there's nothing he can do with Gobert.
Well, Gobert's like almost 300 pounds.
Hell, Luka weighs 230.
Exactly.
Giannis weighs 242. So
okay.
it's not that he can't keep 242.
I've seen Giannis. There ain't no way in hell Giannis weighs 242.
That's what it says.
Now he probably does with the muscle he's packed on.
He probably weighs about 260 now with the muscles he's packed on.
Yeah, that's a big dude, man.
Yeah, Jay.
I don't know how.
Where are you getting your info from? You gotta forget, Aaron Rodgers is a minor owner for the Milwaukee Bucks. He's used to lying, so he's probably telling Giannis to lie about his weight.
Yeah,
I
Rudy.
don't know how they go. Google just has them wasted around 242. Mike, I got a question though. Everybody knows that Golden State most likely will win Game 2. My question is, will Golden State's Game 2 win be a blowout, or will this one be more competitive? I think it's going to be more competitive. I don't think we're going to see the blowout we saw last night. What do you guys think?
It's going to be more competitive. Just going to be, instead of a 20, 30-point victory, it'll be like a 15-point victory.
Okay. That's still kind of a blowout, though.
Seriously.
It's more competitive, though.
More competitive would be like if you got it by like 8 or 9 points. Like 15, that's like borderline mid-blowout.
I just think the Golden State Warriors are just better than the Dallas Mavericks. It's nothing really much Dallas can do. I mean, Luka, I get him at least one game because Luka.
But you could say the same thing about Phoenix, though. That Phoenix.
I was about to say that. I was about to say that.
But Phoenix, they just didn't strike fear in me.
They didn't strike fear in anybody because of how they played going into the playoffs. But
yeah.
Phoenix was still a better team and a deeper team than Dallas. It just
I get
Luka
that,
was the best player in that series.
Luka was able to exploit things with Phoenix that I don't think he can exploit with Golden State just because of Golden State's tenacity. Like Phoenix was playing Phoenix came out playing like they already had proved the point. Golden State is coming out playing like they still got a point to prove.
It's because
that's the difference. Like Draymond is not gonna let you just come in there and baby him like that. He's different from DeAndre Ayton. Thought process is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Like if DeAndre Ayton actually put his mind to it, he can probably be a great defender because of his height, because of his lift, because of his athleticism. He just doesn't put himself in that mold. If you look at Steph Curry hasn't really shot the ball efficiently this whole playoffs. But he understands I got to get up shots in order for my team to win. He's not gonna come in doing the Chris Paul and only shoot 11 shots.
Yeah.
Here's a stat that I was trying to find for you guys that I just found it. So comparing James Wiseman and Chet Holmgren, because they basically have the same body type pretty much. James Wiseman is 7 foot 240. And look at how skinny James Wiseman looks.
Mm-hmm.
Chet Holmgren right now is 7 feet 190 pounds. In 9 months at Gonzaga, he put on 3 pounds of muscle. So he was 187 pounds in high school, and he only put on 3 pounds in Gonzaga.
Let me tell you, you know what I'm going to do? This is what I'm going to do. If I'm the Golden State Warrior, if I'm the Orlando Magic, I take Chet Holmgren. I'm going to go to the Wisconsin State Fair, and I'm going to tell him, you're going to go to every damn single venue 10 times.
All you got to do is eat some more steak.
And I guarantee, by the time you get done with that 10th round, you don't put on about 200 pounds and a crap ton of cholesterol. But it's okay. We don't care how long you live. We just need you to play.
No, all he needs is a good steak diet. And you know what is different in the NBA? Those trainers
steak and carbs, baby. Steak and carbs.
Those trainers are different. I think you can put on more muscle in the NBA. I think Chet will be okay. He is going to have to develop a jumper, though. That was a great point by Stat Guy about him and the KD comparison, because, I mean, if he doesn't put on this weight and he doesn't develop his jumper, it's like, what can you do for us in the NBA? So, Great point, Stat Guy. Great point, Stat Guy.
Do you remember when Duke played Gonzaga this year?
No, what? Yeah, go ahead and explain, my boy.
Chet Holmgren had to guard Paulo Banchero.
He said, hey, Anthony Price said, take him down to New Orleans and put him on Zion Williams' diet.
The difference was Zion Williamson was 275 coming out of college.
Put him on a diet of overpriced beignets.
Hey, gumbo and crawfish, that's all he needs. That Nolans diet.
Hey, can I get some Bodine for 15 people, please? No, it's just me eating it, but I need it for 15.
So when Duke played Gonzaga this year, and it was basically Banchero versus Holmgren, which is the matchup that everybody wanted.
Banchero.
Those two were basically on the court 20 minutes out of 40 minutes together.
Ooh.
In those 20 minutes, Banchero had 14 points and 9 rebounds.
Easy.
Chet Holmgren had 6 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 fouls in 20 minutes because Banchero just threw him around like a rag doll, and Holmgren couldn't do anything.
And if that happened to him in a college game, what you think gonna happen in the NBA?
Oh yeah. But again, you can't teach height, but you can teach weight. Damn it, you can give somebody weight. You can put weight on somebody.
I mean, even if you put weight on somebody, if they haven't properly trained with that weight, that means nothing. We've seen that in boxing.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, and that's what I'm saying. Hunger would be a project, right? I mean, he's not going to come out right off the rip. Branchero would be the more NBA ready to go type of player, and I think it's probably why he should go number one.
But that's the other problem too, and that's the other problem that I always have with the NBA draft compared to the NFL draft, because there's only 2 rounds as opposed to 7.
Ooh.
Usually in the NFL draft, that first pick is always the best player or the most NFL ready player, because you want him to come in and contribute right away. As an NBA franchise, yes, you want the best player and most NBA ready player, but if your team is 2 or 3 years away from contending, you're not going to take the most NBA ready player because it does nothing for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's still not going to put you over that hump. It's still not going to make you a better team. That's why you see a lot of these teams going back to when Zion was drafted and going back to Cade Cunningham last year and like all these number 1 picks over the last decade. A lot of them aren't considered. They're considered the top prospect, but a lot of them aren't considered the best NBA ready prospect, and they're considered more projects because they know these teams are 2 or 3 years away from contending, so they can have this player for 3 years, basically let him turn into the player he wants to be, and then when he gets to the player he wants to be, they're ready to contend, as opposed to you're bringing in a guy that's NBA ready. You want a team that's NBA ready to go with him, otherwise you're just hurting his development.
Mm.
Ooh. Stack guy coming with the heat this morning. Damn, I wasn't ready for that. I just got past my bacon and eggs.
Right, Stack guy. Let me get my coffee first.
Dang. I wasn't ready for all that.
Oh, he said he's gonna be a worse version than Porzingis. Oh my god.
Wow.
A worse version of Porzingis?
Okay.
And I didn't think you can get any worse than that.
I won't go that far.
I didn't think so. Porzingis was supposed to be such a great player.
I won't go that far because I think Holmgren will at least stay healthy.
Yeah, Porzingis is a bust, and I you know what?
There was so much hype when he first came into the league on Porzingis with New York. There was so much hype on him, and he just never lived up.
Well, I think actually people was wondering what the hell Phil Jackson was thinking.
Yeah, they probably were.
You want to know what Phil Jackson was thinking? Exactly what New Orleans was thinking when they took Zion. Bringing in a 7'3", freakishly athletic player from Lithuania who's going to sell tickets, who's going to sell merchandise, who is an athletic freak that has probably the biggest upside of anybody in this draft class. Let's get him to New York. Let's win games. Never panned out. But there's not another team in the NBA that would not have taken Porzingis where he went.
No.
I wouldn't have took him.
The potential and the talent, you would have been fired. The potential and the talent was too great to pass up that anyone who would not have taken him probably would have been fired on the spot, just because it's one of those once-in-a-generation talents that you can't pass up just because of the potential alone.
And that's why they call him the unicorn, and he's definitely not a unicorn.
And that's why that's the same thing.
He's a bum.
That's the same thing with Zion, too, where if Zion doesn't pan out, people are going to say he's a bust because it is what it is. I mean, you can't really call a player a bust that got hurt because injuries are part of the game. But there's not a single GM out there that was not going to take Zion number 1 because of the talent and the potential that he has.
But even with that, even with that being said, Porzingis didn't play like he wanted it even when he was healthy. That's my thing with him and Zion. Zion was still dominating in the paint. He was shooting the best field goal percentage in the NBA. You look at Porzingis never really showed you anything.
Because I blame Phil Jackson for it. And the reason why, I'm like, you're bringing in a 7'3", 240-pounder. That's freakishly athletic. That's probably the most athletic center that's come across the NBA in quite some time. And yet you want him to stand out by the perimeter and shoot three-pointers. Why?
Yeah,
what's the point of that?
That was stupid, man. He took that on to Dallas.
That's why the first 2 years in the league, he averaged 14.3 points and 18.1 points. And then every year after that, he averaged 22.7, 20.4, 20.1, 20.2, and 22.1. Yeah, those first 2 years, Phil Jackson basically...
Averages sound good, but how many games was he playing?
No more than 57. And that's the thing. Like, Phil Jackson took away that physical mentality that he had overseas, where he was a banger in the paint that was going to give you 34 and 13 every single night, because that's the type of player he was overseas. And Phil Jackson took that physicality away from him by putting him out on the perimeter. Then 2 years later, he wants him to try to be physical again. He wasn't ready for it because his body went 2 years without taking the physical pounding that it was used to.
Yeah. Stat guy with the heat this morning, y'all.
It's Freaky Friday. Gonna have a Freaky Friday if you can't have heat. Rob, so obviously you're going with the Warriors tonight. So tomorrow, Celtics.
I'm going with the Celtics tomorrow. They'll be back home. I think honestly yesterday kind of took the heart out of Miami. I was about to ask, anybody know why Marquise Morris not playing?
He's still injured from that whiplash he took earlier in the season.
What, against Joker?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
He hurt his back. I think he had to get like surgery or something.
Yeah.
Joker pushed him that hard?
Yeah.
Dang.
That's a big dude. Joker's a big dude.
That is a big dude, man. And an MVP. That was an MVP push, I guess. But yeah, I just think the Heat has kind of lost their morale. I'm gonna have to go with the Boston Celtics. It might end up being a gentleman's sweep with Boston.
Anthony Price said, "Do you wake up reading stats on sports, or do you have a man cave full of books?" I think he's referring.
You talking about Stat Guy?
The Stat Guy, yeah.
I do neither. I sit and watch games, and I obtain pointless information that I doesn't think is going to stay in my head, and yet it stays there.
Stat Guy is our machine on ASAP. Like, he knows everything. Like, if you don't think Stat Guy don't know everything, go back a couple episodes and watch our Jeopardy episode, and you'll see that Stat Guy annihilated that Jeopardy we had. It was insane. Like, every answer, Stat Guy was getting it. Boom, boom. People answering it wrong, Stat Guy just sitting there laughing like.
You're like, are you sure that's the answer you want to go with?
I literally said that a couple times to him. Like, are you sure you're going to go with that answer?
Hey, especially I think they asked like, what was Steph Curry's how many threes have he made so far? And I'm sitting there looking. I googled the answer. I'm not playing, and then I'm listening to Stat Guy. He's like you can tell he like guessed at it. I'm like, this motherfucker hit it on the first number, like the exact number.
He knows his stats. Before we head out, we're gonna have our last hot take, and our last hot take is going to my man Rob.
Oh,
All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information, hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays.
what's up, y'all? It's the boy that's hot, the boy Rob Scott, with the hot take of my own. Dustin, Stat Guy, I know you said something about Luka earlier. I'm going to have to oppose that hot take and tell you guys that LeBron James is going to make a comeback next season, and he will be your MVP of the 2022-2023 season. Y'all better forget. Y'all must forgot who y'all was talking about. That's the King, and the King is returning back to his throne. That's my hot take.
Ooh, you got me dancing over here, boy. Let's go. And just because you said that, I'm changing this ASAP background. Let's go, Laker Nation. Hey, that guy over there behind the camera, like, I can't believe he just said that.
Hey, I think LeBron has a lot to prove. He's gonna come back. He's gonna be ready. Hey, you said how you going against your own team? I'm not going against my team. I'm just saying next year I think he's gonna be MVP. Did I say the Lakers are gonna win it all? No, I didn't.
I did.
I just think that the Lakers. I think LeBron is gonna be the MVP of the league. I just think the story is gonna be too perfect for him not to be even in the conversation.
See, with me and Freddie were different. Freddie, he gets the smoke from everybody on ASAP, like everybody. I'm smart not to even mention that I'm a Laker. Everybody like forgets that I'm a Laker fan until I see all the messages and then like it heats up into my body. Then I write something like, "Yo, time out. This is my team. I gotta get that."
See, the thing with that though is, I can see Rob's point that LeBron's going to have something to prove.
Yeah.
But you could argue that LeBron had better numbers this year than he's had in his last 5 years.
Yeah, but when your team is not even in playoff contention,
but that's the thing.
It would have been hard to justify giving him the MVP regardless of his numbers. I
agree, but let's just say his team's in playoff contention.
Yeah.
And he does what he did this year. Do you honestly think that he's going to get it if Jokic does what he did again? Knowing that Jokic is putting up near triple-double numbers every night.
I think so, and that's just going to be because you're going to be blinded by the fact that this team wasn't even in the playoffs last year, the previous year. And now we're talking about at the Lake, as LeBron is playing how he's playing, Anthony Davis is able to come back and be healthy, and they able to pick up a couple of decent players in the offseason. You got the Lakers right there in the thick of things. I mean, the Western Conference is tough, but it's not as tough as it used to be. I mean, it was top heavy in the Western Conference, and then everybody was pretty much on the same level. So
the Lakers, in my opinion, are a mess, and it's because of what's happening right now with Phil Jackson.
Well, I wouldn't even blame it on Phil. I'm blaming it on
didn't you hear what's going on right now?
Yeah, I do. I know. Would you want to trade LeBron?
He said he would rather keep Westbrook and trade LeBron. And if that's
Phil Jackson's old.
If that's the case,
well, Jenny Buss needs to get control of her organization.
Yeah, she does, and that's the problem. Like, Phil Jackson's going to have some pull.
Yeah.
After what he's done for that organization, he's going to have some pull in that decision.
What he's done to her.
So he's going to have some pull in that decision where if he says, I'd rather keep Westbrook over LeBron, she can say all she wants that she has no intention of getting rid of LeBron, but damn well she's going to hear Phil Jackson out on the situation and at least reconsider it when that conversation's over.
I'm going to tell you right now, if Jenny Buss listens to LeBron, to Phil Jackson and gets rid of LeBron James, if I'm the Los Angeles Lakers board of directors, we are voting her out.
You know why they would do it?
I don't see what reason they have.
Look at the return you would get for it. Look at how much better
have Westbrook
for one more year.
Yeah, but that one more year can be detrimental to your.
It can be depending on where you send LeBron and what you get for him. Let's just say you send I'm going to use the Bulls for an example because you and I are both Bulls fans.
Yeah.
You send LeBron to Chicago. You can get DeMar DeRozan. You can get Zach LaVine. You can probably get Caruso back. And if you really wanted to, you could probably get Patrick Williams. The Lakers would be in a much better position making that move than it would be to keep LeBron and try to run it back with the roster they have right now. Plus, you would be able to get a draft pick with that. That's why the Lakers need to consider it. I'm not saying they're going to do it, but if you put a guy like LeBron on the market, the return you're going to get.
Yeah, I'm not doing it, though.
And it's going to make that Laker team better quicker because of the return they're going to get.
Like
Phil Jackson is. I understand.
Traded away LeBron James. Like I just couldn't do it.
Understand what I couldn't do it. He's also
either.
looking for the long term for the Lakers. He's looking for the long term.
Yeah, long term. I get that, but even with that, you still. If we're talking long term, how long do you think LeBron still has a prime years playing?
Prime years probably 3 years, but longevity probably 6 because he keeps his body in good shape.
Yeah, but I'm thinking LeBron will cut the Lakers a solid and leave. When he know he don't got it no more, I think he will just leave.
I don't think he will know that he doesn't.
Once his son gets drafted, he's leaving the Lakers, and he's gonna go wherever his son goes.
So
that's the thing. The Lakers want to hang on to him until that point.
Exactly.
Hell yeah! If I'm the Lakers, if LeBron can give me 25, 10, and 8, he ain't going nowhere.
I don't know. I think it'll be very interesting, especially if Phil Jackson.
I get what you're saying, though, but I mean that's an interesting point because that's like a devil's advocate.
Because by taking Russell Westbrook, the Lakers missed out on DeRozan, Buddy Hield, and Caruso being in LA. If they would have had those three in LA paired with Davis and LeBron, that team would have been the number one seed in the West.
Yeah.
They can't miss an opportunity to have those type of players again, even if that means getting rid of LeBron James. They cannot waste another opportunity to bring that kind of a haul into that roster.
If I'm Mike Pelinka or Rob Pelinka, do I really want to be the GM that traded away the second best player to ever play in the NBA ever?
You have to look at it though. Everybody on that roster,
not even Michael Jordan got traded.
Who's going to take on Russell Westbrook? Who's going to take on Russell Westbrook's contract?
Nobody. Unless you're able to convince Phoenix.
No, you're not going to be able to convince anyone. $49 million. $49 million. You ain't going to be able to convince anyone to take that.
Chris Paul about to make 39.
Me and Freddie talked about that yesterday when he came on. We mentioned the Lakers and Russell Westbrook's contract, and we both agreed that it's just the best interest right now for the Lakers to just hold on to Russell Westbrook one more year.
Russell Westbrook is an NBA version of Jason Hayward for the Cubs, where Jason Hayward has played so bad for 7 years, the Cubs are stuck with him because no one's going to take on the remaining $55 million of that contract. Russell Westbrook played so bad last year and made $42 million last year. His contract goes up to $49 million next year. There ain't a team stupid enough to even take half that on. So they're stuck with him.
What if they able to convince Phoenix to do the switcheroo with Chris Paul?
They won't, because Phoenix would take a step backwards by taking Russell Westbrook.
Oh yeah,
they won't do that. And then you have Anthony Davis as your other trade piece. Is anybody going to be willing to trade a bunch of pieces for Anthony Davis, knowing that he can't stay healthy?
Nah, that's different. I get you though, man. I get it, but I agree with Sander. Like what Sander just said, Ghosts don't get traded, man. Ghosts don't get traded. Like that's a slap in the face to LeBron to even consider trading.
Not really.
Are you crazy?
It would be a slap.
I asked you to.
It would be a slap in the face to keep LeBron there if the team's not winning.
I'm gonna tell you this.
Why not give him an opportunity to go somewhere to win?
But let me suggest that. Let me change that narrative. What kind of narrative is gonna be put out there if you talking about I'm about to get traded?
It wouldn't do anything.
Like it's my fault.
No, it wouldn't be his fault, and I think LeBron would know that. LeBron's smart enough to know that if he's being put on the market, it's because the Lakers are building for the future, like Anthony just said. It would have nothing to do with him. It would have nothing to do with his play. It would have nothing to do with his decision of wanting Russell Westbrook in Los Angeles. It would literally be the Lakers are building for the future, and he knows he's not part of that long-term future. LeBron, I honestly think, would be okay with it. I really do, because he's looking at it like, I gave you my all for 3 years here, and we came away with a championship. If you don't feel like we're going to be championship worthy this year, I understand why you want to get rid of me, and I respect it, because at least you're sending me somewhere where I have a chance to win yet, as opposed to leaving me here the next couple of years and not winning.
I don't think LeBron will be saying it.
I'm gonna tell you right now. If I'm LeBron and you even mention a trade to me, I want you to move. I want you to move. And every time you play me, I'm gonna make sure y'all have LeBron nightmares. Like LeBron.
That's why if they made the deal, he would be sent to the Eastern Conference, where they would only have to see him twice a year.
Yeah, but you gonna have to see me. You still gonna have to see me. I'm gonna make sure I'm healthy, even if I'm not healthy. I'm gonna be on that court. Like you don't trade LeBron James. LeBron James leaves you. You don't leave LeBron James.
You could be that first team to do it.
I'm telling you, bro.
As a Laker fan, I wouldn't want to trade LeBron, but I'm understanding what Stat Guy.
I understand what Stat Guy saying. I get it. It actually makes perfect sense.
But also look at this, and I'm trying to tell this to Freddie yesterday. Also, you're getting LeBron James back next year with a full off season of rest. Full off season. He's not in the playoffs. Still hurting him his ankle or his knees or anything like that.
Riding his bike in Cabo with his wife.
Yeah, he's resting right now. So look back at 2019 when he got hurt. He missed basically half the season for the Lakers. His first year, he missed half the season, being injured with ankle injury. Then he comes back in 2020, fully healthy, dominating, end up in the bubble, dominated in the playoff bubble, and winning the championship. So if we can get back a full, healthy LeBron James, we can be looking at a very different scenario on how the Lakers might be next year, even if Russell
And you
Westbrook.
got to remember how he got injured. Somebody ran into him.
Mm-hmm.
Solomon, like that was a freak injury. You know what I mean? So he gets time to heal up now. As Frankie was mentioning, man. I ain't doing it, bro.
I might be the only one that ever says this, but if I was the GM of the Lakers right now, I would put LeBron on the block.
Oh,
because
that's a hot take.
Because I know what I would get in return for him, and I know what it would do to the future of my organization.
But do you think teams are still? I know it's LeBron James, but this is year what? 21? Year 20?
For him?
Or year 19, right?
He'll be in year 18 this year. He just finished year 17.
So year 18, yeah, because he got drafted in 2003. So you think teams are going to be lining up to like give you their whole roster for LeBron?
LeBron took the Cleveland Cavaliers to the championship.
Yeah, but he would do that in year 18.
I think he can.
I don't know, man. I don't think
he doesn't need like. You look at when he took Cleveland to the NBA Finals the first time when he was in his third year, and you look at the roster that he had with him.
Yeah, it was freaking
Zildjonas Agulskis was his second best player.
Yeah,
and he got them to the final because he was entering
his third, and
then you had Mo Williams and Eric Snow and all those great players.
Yeah, I said Mo Peterson, Mo Williams.
And you look at that's when he was entering his prime as a player. Now he's still like in a prime compared to a lot of the league, but he's not in his prime anymore. But if he were to go somewhere, he doesn't need to go to a team that has like a bunch of superstars like the Bosches, the Wades, the Davises, and all that. He just needs to go to a team that is on the cusp of making the playoffs, or a team that just got into the playoffs and maybe needs that one more piece. Dare I mention go back to Cleveland?
Or New Orleans?
I say Cleveland. Go back to Cleveland. Cleveland was the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference this year with their starting point guard out in Colin Sexton.
Yeah, and you're gonna have Garland is better than Sexton.
I think the city of Cleveland is done with LeBron.
No, they're not. And LeBron wanted to come back, they will take him back. Did you see the reception he got in the All-Star game?
Who cares?
here's what your lineup.
The reception that he got in the All-Star game
could potentially be though. If you bring LeBron back to Cleveland, you would have Sexton and Garland as your guards. Your small forward would be LeBron. Your power forward would either be Evan Mobley or Lauri Markkanen, and then your center would be Jared Allen.
Right, but that's in a perfect world. If LeBron goes back to Cleveland, it's gonna have to be via trade. And you think you're gonna be able to keep Garland and all them boys over there to get LeBron back over there? No, you're not.
I do, because Cleveland's got 3 first-round picks the next 2 years. That's what the Lakers would take.
Well,
plus they would ask for one of their big 3, either Mobley, Markkanen, or Jared Allen. And then whatever else they needed. But that's still a good lineup going Garland, Sexton, LeBron, Allen, and Mobley.
Well, we shall see, my boys. But that's an interesting take, though. That's an interesting take on that. I do agree with you. I mean, long-term speaking, it does bode well for the Lakers to even consider it, especially because it's going to be life after LeBron. But I don't know, man. Like LeBron still being able to play at a high level, I'm not letting him go.
The Lakers are the NBA version of the Yankees and the Dodgers of MLB.
Hey.
Yankee to Frankie.
I'm not getting Yankee. Frankie, I'm about to give you a compliment. Hold on here. Pull your pants. Take your panties out of a bundle.
My panties are on too tight right now. It's Freaky Friday.
The Yankees do it. The Yankees and Dodgers do whatever they need to do to win. Whether it's spending money, whether it's trading players that a lot of people don't think they should trade to better suit them for the future. And that's why the Yankees are in the position they're in right now, because they traded away Aroldis Chapman to the Cubs in 2016 to get Gleyber Torres. They made a lot of trades in 2015 to 2018 to get rid of some of their players, to put themselves in the position of bringing guys like Garrett Cole, get Aaron Judge in a position where they can extend him, bringing guys like Rizzo, Josh Donaldson, and the team that they have right now, because they made some trades that a lot of fans didn't agree with, because they did not fit in their short-term plans, but they fit in their long-term plans. Same thing with the Dodgers. The Dodgers trade people left and right that they don't see fitting in their short-term plans, but they can go and get guys like Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and all these other pieces that they're adding to their long-term plans now. LeBron James is going to fit in anybody's short-term plans and in anybody's long-term plans. But when it comes to the Lakers want to win championships. They don't want to just win one championship every 5 years. They want to win 5 or 6 every 10 years. And if they don't feel that they can win 5 or 6 with LeBron in the next 5 years, there's no reason to keep him when you can build for the future and set yourself up with a roster that can give you multiple championships in a 3-year stretch.
Stack guy has.
I was like in a daydream when he said Lakers winning like 5 or 6 championships in 10 years. Man, that's like amazing. I would like literally, but so yeah, guys, we're almost to the end of our show. You guys, got any final take you want to go on?
The Go Dub Nation, you know what I'm saying?
I can't. It's that guy just said like literally 10 minutes ago. We're both Bull fans. And you got this guy.
We are Bull fans. I can like more than one team. I don't know who told people that like when you are a lover of sports, a fan of sports, that you just have to go with one team. You don't have to. I'm always going to have love for Chicago. That's in any organization, any type of sports that are being played, because I'm always going to have a soft spot for my city. But their team, that's like, for years I was going for the Patriots because I was a Tom Brady fan. When he left New England, I left New England. Now I'm a Bucs fan. Wherever he go, I go. That's just how it is. I'm a Bears fan because I like Chicago, the organization. I love my city. But there are certain players who I follow throughout the league. I love Derrick Henry. I like to see the Titans win because of him. At one point, I did like Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson hasn't really improved to me as a quarterback. So it's certain players I like.
Yeah, because Lamar Jackson's not a quarterback. Oh, shoot, did I say that out loud?
It's just certain players. Certain players. I like Luka. As you guys mentioned, I was the only person that gave Luka a chance against Phoenix.
But now
he going against my favorite player, and Steph Curry. I'm always gonna choose my favorite player. Always. When anybody went against Kobe Bryant, I never chose against Kobe Bryant. The only one time I picked against Kobe Bryant was when he played Allen Iverson. Because when I was younger, I was an Allen Iverson fan. Yeah. I was a huge fan. Allen Iverson, the reason I wanted braids, he the reason I wanted tattoos. Like, it was Allen Iverson.
Rob with braids and tattoos. I would love to see that.
Right. Hey, did it? Hey, P, it got quiet though, didn't it?
I guess my final thoughts have to go back to the Chicago Bulls and some of the things that I've been reading this morning. Keep an eye out for the Bulls and Donovan Mitchell, and the Bulls or Damian Lillard.
Ooh,
a lot of people expect Zach LaVine to leave, which at this point I'm okay. If you want to bring in a guy like Donovan Mitchell, I'm fine with that. But the reason why they're looking at Damian Lillard right now is Lonzo Ball's knee is a serious concern right now.
Yeah.
And it's not just a serious concern that it's not healing properly. It's a serious concern that he could miss upwards of 4 months into next season. Which means not only was his knee hurt worse than they originally thought that it was this year, but he tried to come back sooner than he should have and made things worse. And without a point guard, we saw what the Bulls roster looked like. They didn't have any offensive identity because they didn't have that quarterback running the offense. So look for the Bulls to be in the running for a guy like Damian Lillard to come in and be that point guard.
Oh my God, that just made my tummy tickle.
Hey, Frankie, you're such a hater.
I'm joking. You never know. The NBA is crazy nowadays. Honestly, the Bulls can't.
He said, "Made my tummy tickle."
But I don't think Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, maybe, Or is that who you said, right? Donovan
Yeah,
Mitchell?
Donovan Mitchell would be used to replace Zach LaVine if Zach LaVine doesn't return. Their top target would be Donovan Mitchell to replace him.
Yeah, that would be more likely because we've seen the scenario of what's going on with Rudy Gobert. Like he's like gonna probably push him out soon. So I could see that happening. But Damian, he's too faithful to Portland. He needs to
I don't
stop
think he is.
doing
I don't
that.
think he is anymore. I think his faithfulness went out the window when they traded CJ McCollum.
It should have been out way before that.
Yeah, but
He
they
gave
got
them the benefit of the
that.
doubt, and I think that benefit of the doubt has gone out the window now when they traded away CJ.
That's crazy. It's insane. But yeah, guys, enjoy your basketball game tonight. Tonight we got OKC. Look at me. I'm over here looking at my screen. I'm a basketball stuff. Tonight we got the Golden State Warriors versus the Dallas Mavericks. Also, don't forget, like I always used to say in every show, enjoy your baseball as well. Quick lineup: we got the Diamondbacks versus the Cubs. We got the Cardinals versus the Pirates. The Braves are facing the Marlins. Rob, your White Sox is visiting my Yankees. Round 2, we beat you guys 3-1 last 4-game series. Now you're coming to New York. We're about to spank that White Sox ass. Dodgers are playing the Phillies. The Rays are playing the Orioles. The Reds are playing the Blue Jays. Tigers playing Guardians. Mariners playing Red Sox. Twins are facing the Royals. Rangers are going up against Jay McLovin's Astros. Washington Nationals are facing the Brewers. Mets are playing the Rockies. Athletics versus the Angels. And the Padres versus the Giants. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. We love you guys. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for the shares and the likes. Stag Guy, thank you for coming. Rob, thank you for coming as well. And thanks to Jay McLovin. This is your crew from ASAP in the morning. We'll see you guys Monday morning at 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. Eastern time. Enjoy your week.
Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.